I've decided to buy a luxury car. Honestly, it's more than I need, but my parents are also considering a new vehicle, and this one might be perfect for them. Since marrying Anthony, I've noticed some changes in his behavior. He's become more self-absorbed and surprisingly, even a bit envious of the nice car my parents gifted me. I'm starting to feel fed up. My name is Emma, and I'm 29 years old. I met Anthony back in college, and we've been married for 2 years. Anthony's a socialite, charismatic, and well-liked, while I'm more reserved with a close-knit group of friends. Our relationship started off unexpectedly. It grew through shared classes and study groups. His interest took me by surprise, and when he asked me out, I was thrilled and accepted right away. That was the beginning of our journey together. Anthony's charm, relaxed nature, and dedication to his studies drew me to him. He was surrounded by friends and knew several stylish, attractive women, so I figured he'd have no trouble finding the girlfriend if he wanted. Once I asked him nervously if he really thought I was the one for him. His reaction threw me off. He looked surprised and asked why I would ask that. Feeling insecure, I just wanted reassurance, but after a thoughtful pause, he simply said he felt comfortable with me. It wasn't the heartfelt response I had hoped for, and before I could process it, he became engrossed in his phone. Not wanting to push the issue, I changed the subject and apologized, though the doubt lingered. On the surface, our relationship seemed fine. We graduated, got married, and settled into a condo. I landed a stable job while Anthony continued with graduate school and worked part-time. When I shared news of our engagement with my mom, she was ecstatic, admitting she'd started to wonder when I'd introduce a boyfriend. I felt a little guilty for not telling them about Anthony sooner, but my mom, knowing my independent nature, was just glad I had someone who cared about me. My parents have always been my role models. Like us, they met in college and have maintained a deep love and respect over the years. My dad climbed the corporate ladder while my mom followed her passion for cooking, eventually teaching culinary classes. They've always honored each other's independence and supported each other's dreams, and I want a marriage as nurturing and supportive as theirs. Growing up in a financially comfortable family, I learned the importance of independence early on. This influenced my choice not to follow Anthony into graduate school. I wanted to carve my own path. My dream has always been simple yet meaningful, to create a family environment as warm as the one I was raised in, complete with a loving marriage and perhaps children someday. But as we settled into married life, things started to change. Anthony's financial contributions were minimal while he focused on his studies and part-time job. One day, I brought up the idea of him contributing a bit more towards our expenses. His response was dismissive. "I do contribute, Emma. Didn't we agree you'd cover the living expenses when we moved in?" His words left me uneasy. Anthony's dream of becoming a professor was clear, and I admired his dedication. But as he pursued his career, I felt increasingly burdened by our finances. Despite my assurances that I could manage with my stable income, his curt retort made me wonder if we were truly working as a team. When I first brought it up, I stammered, giving a feeble agreement, unsure how to push back. He sighed heavily. "You wouldn't understand, Emma. Being a graduate student is expensive." Then, almost as an afterthought, he added, "Oh, and I need $26,000 for a research trip. Can you lend it to me? I'll pay you back." His requests for money became more frequent, and the tension in our relationship steadily grew. Anthony often stayed out late, leaving me alone with meals that went cold and unanswered phone calls. Yet whenever he returned, his mood was upbeat. He'd casually compliment my cooking or suggest spontaneous plans, making me feel valued for a moment. These fleeting gestures of kindness gave me brief glimpses of the joyful marriage I longed for, pushing me to avoid the deeper issues between us. But despite my efforts, feelings of loneliness and anxiety became my constant companions, caught in a cycle of temporary happiness followed by long periods of isolation. I struggled to confide in anyone about my feelings, especially my parents who seemed so happy for us. But they likely sensed that something was off. After a long time away, I visited them, and my father suggested I stay for dinner. My mom went all out, cooking a meal filled with warmth and welcome. During dinner, my father mentioned that Aunt Margaret had recently visited. "She was asking about you," he said, describing her as spirited, ambitious, and fiercely independent, the very traits that define her. "I'll reach out to her soon." "Thanks, Dad," I replied, feeling their gentle encouragement to reconnect with family. My father shared fond memories of Margaret, recalling how she often joked that Anthony had whisked me away. "Margaret? who had never planned to marry herself, had always been more of a mentor than just an aunt. I could talk to her about things too complex to bring up with my parents, and she'd always understood me deeply, providing advice and support whenever I was navigating new chapters in my life. Though I'd been hesitant to open up to Margaret about my relationship with Anthony, my visit to my parents sparked a desire to reach out to her. A few days later, we met at a cozy cafe. Margaret, ever so stylish, greeted me with a warm look and offered a bit of fashion advice. "Marriage is more than just the ceremony, Emma," she said, smiling as she sipped her tea. "It's important to feel confident and keep up with yourself. Your appearance says a lot about how you feel. Take care of it." In that moment, I realized I'd been neglecting my interests and quickly apologized for losing touch. Margaret chuckled, saying, "That's just like you, Emma. It's good to be earnest, but your timidity likely comes from not stepping out enough." Hearing about Anthony had made her happy. She thought I was finally ready to move forward. We hadn't spent a day just relaxing together in such a long time, and the beautiful weather made our outing even more delightful. As we settled on the cafe's sunny terrace, I felt at ease enough to open up about my concerns with Anthony. At first, I thought that even someone as reserved as I am could make things work with him, but recently, I was beginning to have doubts. Margaret listened quietly, her gentle nods showing empathy. When I finished, she softly asked, "Have you shared any of this with your parents, Emma?" "No," I admitted. "I was hesitant to tell even you today. I didn't want to seem vulnerable. I felt like I needed to handle this on my own to prove my independence. If my parents knew, they'd probably insist I move back home." Margaret respected my choice to manage things alone but offered reassurance. "If you ever need help, I'm here for you, Emma. I'll support you no matter what." About a month later, my mom called, casually saying, "Whenever you're free, could you drop by? Nothing urgent." Since I had the next day off, I decided to visit. As I approached their house, I noticed a new car in the driveway. I gasped, excitement bubbling up. "Is this car new, Dad? Did you just buy it? Can I take it for a spin?" With a warm smile, my dad reassured me, "This car is yours, Emma. Use it however you like. We thought it would be useful." My mom added softly, "We remembered how much you liked this model when you saw it in an ad. We thought it might cheer you up, especially since you've been going through a rough patch." Their thoughtful gesture, a shiny new SUV from a renowned international brand, filled me with an overwhelming sense of support and reminded me that, no matter how hard things got, I always had a place to come home to. Dad even arranged a parking spot near my condo. I was deeply moved by their generosity. I laughed in disbelief, struggling to comprehend their kindness. Later, as I drove downtown, I pulled out the car keys and pressed the button, watching the SUV's lights flash brightly. That's when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "What's with the new car?" Anthony asked. I turned, stunned to see my husband, who had been absent for ages. His sudden appearance left me speechless. He looked at the car, a smug grin spreading across his face. "A gift from your parents?" Every time I faced Anthony, words seemed to catch in my throat, but I was exhausted from feeling small. "Anthony, don't you care anymore? Do you even care about me?" I managed, my voice trembling but brimming with newfound courage. His response was sharp and dismissive. "Are you just realizing this now? Did you really think I loved you all this time? It's ridiculous how hopeful you are." His mocking laughter stung, and something within me snapped. "Then why did you marry me?" I shot back, louder than intended. Anthony's expression darkened, his voice cold and blunt. "Oh, so you're going to be that blunt? Marrying you was just convenient. And now, what? You want the car too? It's wasted on you." I was stunned by the harshness of his words. Seemingly unfazed, he added with chilling indifference, "We're getting a divorce. And without me, you'll never find another man. Think about that." With that, he turned and left without a second glance, leaving me feeling shattered yet oddly resolute. Sitting in the driver's seat, I fought to calm myself, my mind racing. After a few days of reflection and a heartfelt conversation with Aunt Margaret, I agreed to the divorce and moved back in with my parents, who welcomed me with open arms. Life felt peaceful again, if only for a while. But that peace was short-lived. One afternoon, Anthony appeared at my parents' house, his parents in tow. They all settled stiffly into the living room, and Anthony's father spoke first, his tone stern. "We're here to discuss our son's divorce." As the conversation began to unfold, I felt a surge of determination rise within me. This time, I wouldn't be silenced. "If you don't agree to the divorce," I started, my voice steady, Then let me make myself clear. I warned Anthony that I would leverage Brian's connections at the university to jeopardize his future. It wouldn't take much to tarnish the career of a junior registrar if their daughter filed a complaint. Anthony, who suddenly seemed more concerned, was taken aback by my assertiveness. He viewed my tactics as aggressive and intimidating. His father vehemently argued, "We could easily contest the divorce, Emma. Beneath her simple appearance, she's manipulative and greedy. Poor Anthony. I've heard she even paid him to stay away. She must have entertained other men. We should take this to family court and claim that Anthony was coerced into this divorce." But if Emma were to make a genuine apology, perhaps things could be different. Just then, Aunt Margaret suggested that relinquishing the SUV might help smooth things over. Anthony and his parents listened quietly, absorbing his father's protests. At that moment, the doorbell rang. My mom answered it, and Aunt Margaret walked in, her presence instantly shifting the atmosphere. "Sorry I'm late," she said, joining the tense gathering. Anthony's family, who had only met her once at my wedding, looked surprised. "What are you doing here?" Anthony's mother exclaimed, visibly annoyed. "It's rude to barge in like this. We're in the middle of something." Unfazed, Margaret replied, "You've heard about Anthony's divorce, haven't you?" "How would an outsider like you know about this?" Anthony's mother challenged. Margaret continued calmly, "I was informed by my brother earlier. I couldn't miss such an important moment for my niece." Anthony's mother shot back, "You're probably here to stop the divorce or for money. Are you still going to make accusations after seeing this?" Without missing a beat, Margaret pulled a stack of documents from her bag and spread them out on the table for everyone to see. "I hired a private detective to look into this," she revealed. "It turns out Anthony has been cheating on Emma with multiple women. He hardly came home because of it, taking advantage of Emma's kindness and even asking her for money." The revelation left everyone in stunned silence, and the tone of the meeting shifted dramatically as they processed the weight of Margaret's findings. I was deeply immersed in my university research, so when I finally made it home, we spent quality time together, sharing meals and exploring the world outside. To outsiders, we appeared like any other married couple. "Say something, Emma," Anthony pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. "You don't need to defend yourself," his father quickly reassured him, eager to regain control of the situation. Margaret's unexpected intervention had illuminated the harsh reality of my troubled marriage, revealing Anthony's deceit and the manipulation I had endured. This new information forced everyone, especially Anthony's parents, to reconsider their approach to the divorce negotiations. "It's not your fault," Anthony's mother hastily added, clutching the documents suspiciously. "These must be fabricated. Our Anthony would never do such things. He's a kind, outstanding son." "Kind to his parents, maybe," Aunt Margaret interjected sharply, her calm demeanor belying her evident resolve. She pulled out a photograph from the stack of documents. "I was at a hotel for a business meeting recently and saw Anthony there with another woman, looking quite cozy. I had the detective investigate Anthony as well, and the results confirmed my suspicions." Anthony's mother's face drained of color as she grabbed the documents to examine them closely. "What is this, Anthony? How long has this been going on? These are all lies, aren't they?" she demanded, her voice trembling. Anthony tried to snatch the documents back, denying everything, but it was too late. The seeds of doubt had been sown. "You've been cheating on me. The car you wanted so badly was for her, wasn't it?" his mother accused, her voice cracking under the strain. No matter how much Anthony tried to soothe her, his mother was inconsolable. She stormed out of the house, tears streaming down her face, with Anthony stumbling after her, trying to explain. Amidst the chaos, he blurted out, "Hey, wait, what about me?" As he followed her, bewildered, the rest of us were left in stunned silence. Aunt Margaret, however, wore a satisfied smile and gave me a knowing wink. It was clear she had anticipated this dramatic turn of events and the revelations that would follow. After the tumultuous scene, Aunt Margaret confided in me that Anthony's parents had eventually separated. "You won't fall for such a terrible man again," she assured me, her tone protective yet empowering. "Let's focus on making you even more resilient. I'll teach you everything I know about grooming and self-care." Despite her busy schedule, Aunt Margaret made time for me, taking me out for meals and shopping trips. During this period, I absorbed a great deal from her, gaining a new perspective on self-care and confidence. Her guidance not only helped heal my wounds but also equipped me with the tools to build a stronger, more confident self. A year after my divorce, I made a life-altering decision to enroll in graduate school. This period marked a time of intense personal growth and transformation. One day, while waiting at a street intersection, I heard my name being called. I turned around to see Anthony, my ex-husband. He seemed genuinely surprised by my appearance and remarked on how much I had changed. At first glance, I barely recognized him. The man who once knew me as his unremarkable ex-wife now saw a woman who had blossomed into confidence and beauty. Meanwhile, Anthony's life had taken a sharp decline following his parents' very public and scandalous divorce. He had dropped out of graduate school after Kyle and Karen withdrew their financial support amidst the turmoil he had caused. Struggling to cover his tuition and living expenses, the carefree lifestyle he once enjoyed had become a distant memory. The women who had once shown interest in him had moved on, and his former social status had seemingly evaporated overnight. As Anthony was about to suggest we catch up, Jonathan, the man I was currently dating, approached us, his timing perfect and signaling a clear demarcation between my past and the new chapter I was embarking on, one that no longer included Anthony. Nearby, a group of women couldn't help but admire Jonathan, wondering aloud if he was a model. Observing my brief exchange with Anthony, Jonathan gave him a polite nod and said, "It's okay, we're done here. Let's go," taking my hand confidently. Anthony remained rooted to the spot, visibly shocked as Jonathan and continued on our way. My gaze stayed fixed ahead, concentrating on the road and the bright prospects that lay before us. I didn't glance back even once as we departed.